Happy Thanksgiving and welcome back to TBM Sports. Let's talk some Turkey Day football as we will have 3 games in play. Also get a little Black Friday action, a great spot there, as well as, for my money, a better day in college football on Friday outside of the Ohio State-Michigan game that we do have at noon on Saturday. So looking forward to a great weekend in sports betting. All right, so I will have my plays up a little earlier. I know you guys are busy traveling, spending time with family, friends, so I just want to get my picks out a little bit earlier, give you guys more time within the markets. Okay, so let's talk about these 3 games coming to you guys on Thursday, and 2 good matchups. One that may be a little bit under delivering, and I quite frankly wish that the Cowboys and Chiefs were the prime time spot. Unfortunately, that's right about when we put the food out and start eating. So it's going to be one of those things where, sorry about it, but we will be watching the Cowboys and Chiefs, believe you me. Okay, but also as we get going, guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe down below. Also, follow me on X. I do have my Twitter handle in the description. And please leave a comment. What, outside of your best bets, what is your best dish on Thanksgiving? What do you guys look forward to? And also, if you guys dabble, what is your drink of choice? Okay, so let's get into it. We will use Outlier to break this all down. We'll talk about these 3 games in their entirety. If you aren't signed up for Outlier, 7-day free trial. Try it, cancel anytime. Truly, I don't want to say it's changed betting forever, but it is one of the more invaluable tools that we do have in the market. So take advantage of it. There will be a link down below. Like I said, 7-day free trial. Okay. Let's talk about the games, though, as we will look at some of these numbers. And you can see right now the top 3 games on the board in the NFL. For Thursday, you can see at the top of your screen, okay, Lions 2.5 hosting Green Bay. Kansas City is a minus 3-point favorite. You can find 3s out there in the market. I did find a good price on a 3, a little bit of a spoiler there. And also the Bengals and Ravens, 7-point touchdown favorites for the Ravens, okay? So let's talk about these games, and we will get into the first one here. Totals really haven't seen much movement. One total in specific that I do like quite a bit that we'll talk about, and I am going to be a little bit contrarian to the market, so we'll get into that. Another spoiler, that will be the second game. But first, let's talk about the Packers. I do have a play on the Lions, minus 2.5. One thing about Jared Goff at home, okay, the numbers are completely different when he is playing at home, on the turf, in a dome. And also, the one glaring statistic that kind of pops off at the page at me is I just don't like Green Bay right now in this current spot, okay? And you can talk about kind of all the metrics and the statistical edges that we do have, but Green Bay took care of business against Minnesota, although I do think that J.J. McCarthy is just not the guy. Those numbers are absolutely atrocious. But also before that, prior, the Lions and the Packers both kind of struggling against the Giants. You could say 1-score games, touchdown victories, as we did get some points there, 34 and 27 respectively. The Lions did put up a little bit more points against the Giants and the G-men. But the one thing that I'll tell you guys is I just think that Green Bay's offense fully isn't back yet, and I will tell you guys how I'm favoring this. I think that their wide receivers still on the mend, not fully 100% for this game, but there are a couple props that I do like, and one of my favorite props on the day that we'll get into as we do break this down. I don't have a play on the total. However, it would be very hard to get away from that 48.5 at minus 115. I would lend towards the over, but my only play on side or total will be, I will be taking the Lions minus 2.5. I'm sure a lot of people, I can pretty much put my life on it. I can pretty much guarantee you that everybody in America will have a Packers, Cowboys, and Ravens teaser, okay? That will be the most chalky teaser in the history of mankind, and I think that's what we'll be having here on Thursday. Not saying it's not going to hit, but I will tell you that the biggest teaser will be the Packers, Cowboys, and the Ravens down to a pick'em against Cincinnati, okay? So let's look into it. The first bet of the day for the Lions game that we are going to look into, and I will talk about some game notes along the way, but Jared Goff, okay, I do like his rushing attempts. Not only do I think the Lions win the game, but if you look at the head-to-head and going back to 2024, Jared Goff had 4, 3, and 1 rushes respectively. Okay, kneel downs count. Also, Dan Campbell is calling the plays, so we don't have Liam anymore. But I will say one thing, I'm sorry, we don't have Ben Johnson anymore, but I will say with Dan Campbell calling plays, Not saying he does it any more or less when he was still making the decisions, but the fourth down conversions and attempts is just, it's getting out of hand, just being honest. Okay. So how I stack up on this game, I can pretty much guarantee you we get one quarterback sneak from Jared Goff to convert a fourth down. I just see that that's being the game script. Maybe even get two, maybe one in the red zone goal line opportunity for a touchdown. And I also think that he is kind of mobile. We have seen him kind of take off outside the pocket a little bit over the last few weeks. So Jared Goff over 1.5 rushing attempts at plus 125. Probably my favorite bet of the Lions-Packers slate, okay? That will be one of my bets. I'm not going to dabble in the yards because, hell, he could kneel down 5 times, 2 at halftime, 3 at the end of the game, and, you end up with -5 yards, even if he does have a 5-6 yard scamper to go over his rushing total. Okay, so that's just how I want to play that one. Also, David Montgomery. We've seen him do exceedingly well on Thanksgiving, and I think that Thursday will deliver as well. Much more value than taking Gibbs. Montgomery against the Packers, a little bit more of a stout front. This is going to be a David Montgomery game, in my opinion, and at plus 135, we're going to take Montgomery to score a touchdown here for the Lions. Head-to-head, though, one time in the 2024 season, he did have a touchdown against Green Bay. Over his last 5 games, he's only had 1 score, okay? And I know that Jahmyr Gibbs is running the ball exceedingly well, but look back into September. He does have the potential, right? He had 4 touchdowns in 3 games, and I think this is something, guys, where when he faces a defense such as the one he's facing on Thursday, it's going to set up a little bit more so, in my opinion, for Montgomery inside the 5, Montgomery inside the 10. But I will also kind of add a mention. I'm getting very, very sick, and I really do want to start my Instagram channel so I can kind of ramp up my rants, if you will, that do surround sports betting. Because, guys, I've been waiting to make one. I could go on for about 5-10 minutes about these so-called genius play callers, okay? In specific, last week, the Patriots game, I'll make a mention of. I don't understand it. You have Trevion Henderson just absolutely shredding defenses in the red zone, and you call like 12 pass plays, whether it be play action, what have you, 12 pass plays. You have Drake May, you have a big body quarterback, you have Trevion Henderson, you have a fumbling machine with an Ramondre Stevenson coming back off of injury, and Trevion Henderson gets 1 or 2 touches out of 15 red zone inside the 5 touches opportunities. I just can't believe it for the life of me. I know Josh McDaniels, the Super Bowls, they speak for themselves, but you could talk about him, Stefanski. There's about 4 or 5 coaches that I just, I almost got to up my protection plan on my television sets because, quite frankly, I'm getting very much sick of the inside the 5, inside the 2, I should even say, play calling there for some of these highly, highly touted coordinators, okay? But I do think Monty will be in the end zone on Thursday against Green Bay. I would love to dabble in the Josh Jacobs territory. I just can't get there. It's considering the juice, it's very low for Jacobs. So a little bit fishy. They're almost begging you to take him. I will say that we have seen Jordan Love play well on Thanksgiving. I think that will kind of take into account on Thursday. He did have the award for the best performance. I think it was last year against the Dolphins. I may be mistaken on that one, but 2 scores through the air. I think this game goes over the total. I do also want to mention that Jamison Williams has been the mainstay player for the Lions, right? Him and Amon-Ra St. Brown have been shredding defenses. And Dan Campbell said he was making a solidified effort to get Jamison Williams the football. Last week, he had a couple targets, but still 0 catches, 0 yards. So I do expect him to have a nice bounce back spot here. I don't trust the Packers secondary, and I do like Jared Goff handling the pressure, really good against the blitz. So I do think that when we talk about the worrisome nature that we will have with Micah Parsons coming off of the edge or wherever they line him up on defense, I think Goff will be fine. So those that's how I see this game playing out. Lions, maybe not roll, but I do like them to cover the 2.5 at home against the Pack, and those will be my best bets. So I'll do a quick recap of this game before I get into the other two. Montgomery touchdown plus 135, Goff over 1.5 rush attempts at plus 125, and Detroit minus 2.5 minus 115. So we get some plus money value there in that spot. Okay, next game we're going to get into, it will be the Chiefs and the Cowboys. You can look right here. Chiefs 180 on the money line, minus 3.5. I bet this at -3. Okay, I love the Chiefs here in this spot. It's make or break, do or die. I think that when we talk about Patrick Mahomes, we started to see a little bit. He's getting those legs churned up. When the Chiefs were playing great football, he was very mobile. Okay, he has to run the football for them to do well. And also, I will say he doesn't have to, because if they are playing well, he doesn't need to. And I think that does play a role where if we look at Patrick Mahomes, when he's mobile, the Chiefs are basically unstoppable, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm going to feature that a little bit. I do want to talk about that as well as the other props that I do favor. I got 5 plays in the Chiefs-Cowboys game, okay? And I think that the Cowboys are running hot after that comeback win against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that was the largest comeback in franchise history for that storied Dallas Cowboys franchise. Whether you like them or love them, you still got to respect it, and we were all about that. I did have the Cowboys plus 3.5, so shout out to Dak and company for taking down the Birds there last Sunday, okay? But let's look at this. I do want to get into the bets for this game. Let's start off with special teams a little bit. One of my favorite bets of the day, maybe my favorite bet of the entire Thanksgiving card, is available on DraftKings, okay? Total distance, all right, of all of the made field goals combined, over 127.5 yards, okay? I like this a lot. Aubrey's field goal prop, they're pretty much guaranteeing him 2. Spagnolia's defense, I think, will do well in the red zone. So there probably will be a lot of chip-ins for field goals. But I just think that, Aubrey's good for 150-yarder a game. That brings us down to 77.5. And then if Bucker's going to get his 2, he gets them into the 40s. 3 field goals could put us over 127.5. I do foresee there being 4 field goals made in this game at least, as you see this number set over 3.5 at plus 110. So you could either take this total made field goals over 3.5, but I still think that I like the total yardage of field goals over 127.5 better, just due to the fact that I think we could still get home with 3 field goals and still cash this bet. So maybe my favorite bet of the day will be the total field goals over 127.5 between Dallas and Kansas City. All right, next bet, let's go right to the big man that everybody's talking about, and except for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they probably hate themselves, but George Pickens has been absolutely shredding defenses, okay? I do like his longest reception over 25.5. Look at his hit rate, 70% of his last 10 games, getting well into the 30s. But also, let's look at his receptions real quickly, okay? Over his last 4 games, I should say, let's go 6 for that matter. And you could even push this out to 8. But if we go over the last 8 games, okay, 2 duds, 2 against the Jets, 4 against the Redskins, 4 against the Commanders. Sorry about that one. And those were blowouts, okay? So not needing to grab the football. But if you look at the 6 cashes, 8, 9, 7, 6, 9, and 9, Chiefs give up the lowest amount of receptions basically in receiving yards in the NFL. So I do think that one will play a role. However, I think this is kind of where we look at his yardage here. And I think that will be my favorite bet. Outside of the longest reception, I just like the reception yards quite a bit. Last 2 games, 140 plus. Almost a ladder candidate if he was playing anybody but Kansas City. And I think that's why we get this low prop total. 71.5 for George Pickens. I think that's kind of where you're going to see McDuffie giving CeeDee Lamb the business, and George Pickens will be available all day long opposite of him. So give me George Pickens and Prescott to get him over 71.5 receiving at minus 115. And I also would take him over CeeDee Lamb to score a touchdown if you force me, but I don't have a touchdown prop in the Kansas City-Dallas game, okay? Next, I do want to talk about another prop within the Kansas City game that I do favor quite a bit. This will be the Patrick Mahomes, okay? I have 2 Patrick Mahomes props, okay? We're going to hit not the rushing yards, but we are going to hit the rushing attempts. Kind of my old faithful, and I'm going for it today because he has not hit this in 5 of his last 5 games. 4-4, 1-1, and 4 respectively. Like I said, guys, all right, he's going to need to run the football to win them football games, okay? The first half of the season, he was pretty much 5+ in every single game. If it wasn't called back for holding or a penalty, this one was pretty much auto cash, okay? So I do like Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs. Every time I take a quarterback rushing attempt prop, it's always done so with the basis that I forecast that quarterback to win the football game, because it does open up the kneel downs possibilities at the end of the game or end of half with a lead. So if we do have this play out where I like the Chiefs -2.5, or I'm sorry, -3 for the Chiefs, kind of bolsters our chances to get over 4.5. So over 4.5 rushing attempts for Patrick. We're going to take that at -114. Also, let's get into this, okay? The longest pass completion, okay? So I got to find this one a little bit. It's going to be a little bit hard to find, but this is where you look into the longest pass completion, 36.5 at -120. This has hit in 5 straight games, okay? I think that since we've seen Rashee Rice come back off of injury or suspension, whatever the hell it was, I like this bet quite a bit. Patrick Mahomes, prime time, knows it's a holiday, knows it's going to be high viewership. Not saying it plays a role, but he does have that chuck it mentality, I think a little bit more so in a bigger spot. I love the Patrick Mahomes longest pass completion over 36.5. Book it. One of my favorite bets of the day as well, and that will be my 4th bet that I will have within the Kansas City and Dallas game. Okay, I don't really like any other props on the Dallas side. I do think that Kelsey will have a decent game, probably come close to the end zone. I just don't trust the Chiefs. Kareem Hunt has been priced accordingly. But I think that when we talk about this Chiefs team, I love the -3, and I also love the under in this game as well. That will be my final play in the Chiefs-Cowboys game. Everybody's going to look at the Cowboys. Great offense. They're scoring at will. I think that the Chiefs get out in front and they play the Chiefs football, the style of football they like to play, that brand of football where they just basically bleed that clock. And in the fourth quarter, I'm not expecting any heroics. I think this one will be a 1-score game in the fourth quarter, maybe just a late field goal to seal the deal. So I do think that the total goes under. A little bit of a contrarian play, because I think that the general public will be all over the over here in this spot. So give me Kansas City -3 and under 52.5, going opposite of the market. Now I will recap all of these best bets at the end of this video, so make sure you all stick around. Okay. Next, let's talk about the next game on the docket. And this will be the comeback of Joe Burrow. All right. So we do get Joe Burrow back in action on Thursday, the primetime spot. Wish this one had a little bit more steam. Okay. Because I do think that this would have been one where if this made a difference for the AFC North, which it does, but maybe not with the Bengals 3-8 on the year. So this is kind of where I look for this spot. 7 for Baltimore. I don't trust Baltimore whatsoever, okay? And I think that this was very much evident as we do look at what they were able to do last time out. Lamar Jackson, I don't think is fully back against the Jets, only 23 points. Getting one late too, 23 against Cleveland in a game that they probably should have lost, if we're being honest with ourselves. Basically, you needed your tight end to do a spin move out of a tush-push formation to run for 47 yards, I think, to win the game. So that's what it is. The Baltimore Ravens, very tough to score the football. And if Flacco was playing, I might have had some action on the Bengals +7. I don't trust Burrow first game back off of that turf toe. And that's kind of where my bets are going to head here for the spot. All right, so like I said, going to stay away from the side in total here. I do think that the Ravens are going to be America's teaser leg down to a pick 'em. I just can't get there on a short week, okay? But the first bet that I will take, Derrick Henry. This is another bet that I love, is the longest reception over 5.5 at -115. In his last 3 games and 6 of his last 10, he has cashed this, okay? 8, 12, and 19 respectively. Derrick Henry to get his longest reception over 5.5. I also kind of like it in the form of the receiving yards as well. You look at this, it's set at 5.5, and that's probably the better way to bet it, to be honest, okay? Over 5.5 receiving yards versus that longest reception. So I'm going to change that. We're going to take the over 5.5 at minus 120, just because who knows, he might catch 1 for 2 and 3, and then 1 more for 1. Gets us over the total versus just having all of those short yardage grabs that don't deliver 6 yards. Okay, so Derrick Henry, we're going to go over 5.5 total receiving yards. 9, 19, and 24 respectively. The only way this doesn't cash, and I don't think it's going to be very much of an issue, is if he does get 1 for a negative yardage. Then it would kind of impact us in that manner. Okay, next bet I am going to take. This is going to be in the form of a touchdown prop. And don't love this. I'm going to give it out. It's not necessarily something I'm going to bet, but my 2 touchdown scorers here in this game, Jamar Chase, I think him and Burrow will be back, but Mark Andrews, okay? The only reason I'm really betting this one, considering it, is that it is plus money, A. B, it's lower than what it usually is, so Vegas expects him to score. Cincinnati gives up the most touchdowns to the tight end position and overall on defense. And then also, he was blanked last week against the Jets. So anytime you get these primetime games, holidays, what have you, Lamar Jackson, the Andrews connection, it definitely does deliver. So Mark Andrews to score a touchdown at plus 115. Love that bet as well. And then we're also going to get into the Derrick Henry prop that I do like a little bit as well, that I think is just too low. So this is a value play for Henry. This is where you would look into the rushing attempts. Okay, set at 17.5 at minus 128 on FanDuel. 6 of his last 6 games, he's got into the 20s, all but 2, and still cashed 18 or more. If you wait until Thursday at 4 o'clock after you have your first round of turkey, I guarantee you this one will be set at 18.5. So if you like this one, I do recommend betting it early than later. But this is where I like Derrick Henry to go over 17.5 rushing, especially with the way that the Bengals defense is. Lamar Jackson back. They're not going to take any chances. They're going to look to kind of get this one out of the hands of the Bengals and control the clock, keep Burrow off the field. Derrick Henry over his rushing attempts. And I don't really foresee him having the issues he had against Cleveland, okay? This is where you saw 103, which is kind of interesting. It might be the most rushing yards allowed by Cleveland. I know one of them came in one big chunk play, but also he had 64 against the Jets. So if you do follow this pattern, he has been going pretty much every other game exploding for 100 yards or more. So I do like Derrick Henry to get over his rushing attempts quite a bit here in this spot. And then the final play, and this one will probably be my favorite bet in this game outside of the Derrick Henry receiving yards. This will be Joe Burrow rushing, okay? There's really no math in this one or statistics to back this up, but he has only, I shouldn't say only, but under 5.5 rushing yards for Joe Burrow at minus 119, okay? Off a turf toe, off of the IR. I just don't know how much full go he will be. If I do think he's a warrior when it comes down to kind of the health side of football. I don't expect him to be anything less than playing 110% from a mentality standpoint, so that does worry me a little bit. But still, how much mobility is he going to have with that turf toe? You know, he plants the first time, he feels that pain. He's going to be very reluctant to extend rushing plays, despite just being that absolute warrior and dog that we all know he is. But I still have to take it. Okay, in his last 3 games, I know one isn't really worth talking about, but still -1, 3, and 0, kind of where I fall into this category, right? We're going to lose this bet by a landslide, or I wouldn't be shocked if we had negative rushing yards here in this game. So Joe Burrow under 5.5 as my final play. Okay, guys, we'll do a quick recap. Thank you all for watching. I know this was a longer video, but hey, it's Thanksgiving. Great day for football. Love the picks. We'll get into the recap. If you haven't hit the like button or subscribed, please do so right now. We'll kind of go down the board here, starting with that first game. We're going to go the total. I'm sorry, we're going to go David Montgomery touchdown plus 135. Goff over 1.5 rushes plus 125. Lions -2.5. Also, the Chiefs Cowboys total field goals over 127.5 yards -115 on DraftKings. Mahomes over 4.5 rush attempts -110. Pickens over 71.5 yards -115. Lean towards longest reception over 25.5 at -110. No official play, just a strong lean. Kansas City -3, under 52.5. Mahomes longest pass completion over 36.5. I do like that one a lot. And then the last game of the day, Burrow under his rush yards, we talked about 5.5 minus 120. Andrews touchdown plus 115. Henry over 17.5 rush attempts and longest reception. I'm sorry, not longest reception, receiving yards over 5.5 at minus 115. Okay, guys, that's it. That is a full preview of Thanksgiving and the 3 games we have in store. Make sure you have that notification bell turned on when I drop my Black Friday NFL picks. Appreciate you guys. Good luck out there. Enjoy the holiday, and we'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.